I'm ready to slash and burn.
No border. I am going to be uncomfortable and all over you from start to finish.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to a special episode of Outside of the Box. And there is one thing that all of the folks you see here have in common, and that is that they have qualified for finals and will be competing soon in the finals event, which is so exciting. I mean, this is such a stacked, loaded event. I think it's going to be really exciting. And so the first thing I'm going to do is just introduce everyone, just in case you don't know who people are, which everybody that's watching this probably does. But just to be safe, I'll go around here. So I will actually start with Ariel based on who is on my screen.
Hi, I'm Ariel. I'm the captain of Beetlejuice, qualified in March.
Very cool. And Zach.
Hi, I'm Zack Knight. I am the captain and driver of Pramheda, builder of Krunk, and qualified both of those robots in the earlier events of the year in March and May.
Awesome. Eli?
Hey, I'm Eli. I'm part of Team Mostly Harmless Robotics with my wife, and I build Hot Wings, which qualified in the Beetle weight.
And Brandon, who has a lot of robots.
Yeah, so I'm Brandon. I built Vorion, Phenomenon, and Fracas, which are all 30-pounders, and now they've all qualified for finals. So I now have to make clones of all those robots to compete. So that's been quite a fun time.
Yes. Jake.
University of Cincinnati Combat Robotics Program, and I run Maximizer.
Johnny.
I'm Johnny. I compete with 3-pounders. My robot Spartan, who's not really built right now, and I qualified in August.
Tony.
Hey everybody, Tony D'Ambrosio. I am the captain of Blackbird and Darkstar, and Blackbird qualified the same event as Hot Wings, so I will be in the 3-pound for the championships.
And Michael.
Hello, my name is Michael. I build and drive the 12-pound robots Voxel and Carmen. They both qualified in, I believe, May. I'm a member of Team Defective, and I was also on Team Shred It Bro in the past season of BattleBots.
Awesome. Kevin.
Hi, I'm Kevin, builder and driver of IDKWTFID, and by some miracle, I qualified the last event in September.
And last but certainly not least, Corey.
Hey, I'm Corey Nason, the driver of Synthesis. Oh wait, I don't have it here. And Synthesis 30. I'm also part of Team Pandemonium, and welcome to the show.
Yes, we have so much to unpack. And I'm going to start with the biggest division, which is the 30-pounders, especially because, you know, Brandon is going to have the fun of having 3 30-pound robots that have qualified, which I can't even fathom what you're going to do with that. And then, of course, Corey has Synthesis 30 that has also qualified. So, you know, I kind of want to hear first from the two of you what you think going into this, and, you know, kind of what you think about the field. I mean, there's so many good robots in there. You know, Kablooey Tango, I think, has done well at just about every event that it's been in. Of course, you have like Knockoff White Emulsifier. You know, that team has, you know, really dialed in bots and stuff. Ripperoni's in there. I mean, there's just so many good bots. And then when you include all the ones that the Brazilians qualified in the last event, it's a lot to think about. So please let me know your insights there.
So-
Mine's gonna be. Oh,
Good.
go ahead, Brandon.
Good.
Sorry.
No, go ahead, Corey. You got it.
Mine's gonna be shorter because I only have 130, whereas Brandon has a quarter of the actual entries. And I must say, thank you, Brandon Bennett Young, for allowing me to qualify in the 30s, facing Fracas. The
Teamwork.
bots in the 30, teamwork makes the dream work. But the 30-pound class is very intimidating. A lot of very big hitters. I don't expect to go unscathed in any of the matches that I'm put in. These are the best of the best 30-pounders that will be competing. And half of them scared the hell out of me. So I'm going to try my best. Go ahead, Brandon.
Ooh, so kind of as Corey said, I have a lot of entries in the 30-pound field. So it's a very interesting calculus. And so every time I've sat down to think about and sort of explain the methodology of it, it kind of gets very fuzzy really fast. Because on one hand, I have one of the only two now control robots, good job, Kevin, in the game. And so for Fracas, it's kind of interesting because Fracas, being a control bot, means I'm expecting it to get beaten up. In fact, I think in just about every permeation of a first round draw, it fights a big spinner of some high level, something like that. But the flip side of that is Fracas's design, which you can see over there, has these very long forks, which are much longer than Phenomenons and therefore Vorions. And so in theory, Fracas is actually more defensive because now if a robot like Synthesis shows up and tries to hit it, if I just don't try to suplex on my head, it's actually very good at holding it down. And its drivetrain is very good as well. So there are some robots where I actually wanted to play a very good spoiler to try to affect them. And what actually happened in the beginning of the year back in March is Phenomenon actually met up against Fracas in the March bracket. But I could forfeit Fracas, and that allowed Phenomenon to go forward, and then Anxiety forfeited and allowed to fight Megatron in the finals. So by having 3 entries, in theory, I could play the game of, well, if all robots survive to the next stage, should I say the main bracket, I can forfeit one over the other. And most notably, I rebuilt Phenomenon in such a way that now it's just like Vorion. So basically it's 3 Vorions and 2 Fracases that I made for finals. And so now what that means is if one of them gets knocked out, now it isn't just, oh, well, now I only have, 2 or even 1 Vorion left to fight, let's say. Now it's technically 3. So now it has a lot of spares, which I can put multiple configurations onto for all the robots. And so every day, more or less, I would hop onto YouTube and I will run through the list of all the old fights that I've had over the lifetime of the 30s, as well as look at some of the other seeds in the fights that they're coming up to. And I would just sort of figure out, how could he hurt me? How could they beat me in a good match? And how can I try to balance that with the judges? So like Synthesis Emulsifier, for a good example, since Corey is already here, since he has a giant blade that outreaches my robot, every way I have to think about how to fight him is how can I hold him back in some regard. But at the same time, if the bracket works out in such a way that Fracas fights instead, I have to think about that robot too, because these two do not handle the same way. So in terms of the metagame of how can I play the bracket, there's a lot of thought that I have to keep in mind of attrition, of if they all survive, who's more likely to succeed. Because there are some cases where I can see Fracas fighting a machine and doing better than Phenomenon or Vorion would. And it'd be very odd, but I could always pull the move of, well, I need more time to fix. So I'm just going to forfeit one and you go in. And now instead of a 20-minute break, I have a 40-minute break. And instead of 2 robots to fix, I have 1 robot to fix. And that can trade out really, really well if it gets to later rounds and everybody's worrying about attrition. And so it's a lot of factors, a lot of variables. I won't really know until I begin to fight. And presumably all of them get slaughtered in like the first 2 rounds or so, because all the robots there are dangerous in some way or another. So it's a lot of unknowns, but it could be one of the most mentally strange games to play. Like it's as much physical as it is sort of methodical around it.
Yeah, for sure. Now I'm really curious as to everyone who doesn't have a 30 in the game. your thoughts on, you know, this field, and who would you say are your favorites that you expect to do well in this competition? Whoever wants to jump in.
I guess I'll go first, I suppose. And I love these two guys that are in this division. So this is not obviously them excluded. One of them are going to win the whole thing, obviously. But obviously, I'm gonna root for Ripperoni. That's near and dear to my heart, and I think it's a crowd favorite. I think Ripperoni is doing a lot of stuff. Anna is like, oh man, I have to build a whole nother one because I qualified, and it's gonna be a brand new build, so it's gonna be a fresh one. She's been running an old chassis for like almost 2 years in that robot, so I think with the work they're putting into it, the custom motors, and let's face it, I mean it's just a scaled down version of what is on BattleBot, so they're gonna be able to take that tech that worked and bring it down. So you never know. I mean, may work, may not. I guess we're gonna see in a couple weeks. So that would be who I'm looking at. But you always have to look at the Bots FC guys too. I mean, they're a great team. But regardless, it's going to be a great division to watch for sure.
I got a question for the 30-pound builders. So I'm looking at the field. I'm not a 30-pound builder, so I don't know the answer to this question.
I'm glad you let us know.
I'm counting 5 high diameter 2-wheel drive verts in the 30-pound weight class. Why is that popular? Why is that succeeding? What's your commentary on that? Because you have those bots.
Corey, you should go first. You have the bigger one.
Big disco boom. Essentially, I'm trying to get the 30 to where it is like the 3, but you're allowed. Essentially, if you can outreach the other person, I don't think outside of Emulsifier, I don't think anyone can really outreach me. So even if they have a ground game charging into a big vert, they're still going to have to collide against the vert. And I mean, even if you hit you hard, so if you can't take that impact, then you're in for a world of hurting. And I think that's probably, well, that's the reason why I made such a large vert, so I could outreach everyone.
Let's see. So in terms of the horizontal game in the 30-pounders, it's also pretty different because the physics works out really well for me in terms of how I can handle it. Because I can fit a 1/4-inch plow across the front of any of my machines. Well, not Fracas, but, you know, Vorion Phenomenon. And that tanks just about every horizontal. Because at this point, Phenomenon's fought Depth Charge, it fought Cookie and Motorama in a Rumble, 4-letter Word, and now Kablooey Tango, with roughly the same geometry and same shape. And once you get to that, excuse me, that very beefy thickness of the material, the horizontal is disadvantaged by a lot. And with the addition of things like good TPU wheel guards or just a wide enough front where you can pivot really fast, it does not help you very much to get around to try to like sideswipe the vert if the vert can take your shot, like really strong uprights and things like that. And so the flip side of that is if I can hit you vertically in a 30-pound box, which really goes the same way as any other robot, but the difference in 30-pound box, like if I were to throw a 30-pounder up to the roof and back down, the internal stresses of that hit are a little higher than they would be for the 3 and the 12. 3s can pretty much bounce. 12s are closer. They're still in that in-between, obviously, by weight and by physics on it. But with 30s, I feel, especially when you get to things like drive motor mounting or weapon motor mounting or electronics as they get bounced around, there's a very good chance that the inertia of that impact will do a bit more internal stressing than it normally would. And so, you know, very strong bots have taken hits like that, and they can keep going. But I don't think a 30 roofing ever comes with the expectation of, oh, it's going to bounce back. It's always the expectation of something is like bent or like been warped too. So whenever something gets hit in the 30s, you assume something's going to take a huge shot before it gets launched. And the higher you go, the more obvious it is. It's why, you know, BattleBots is largely a vert heavy game. They're good horizontals, and even taking out the shelf, you still have a pretty good chance of having a good vert attack you more than a good horizontal attacking you. I'm sure the stats are sort of back that idea up too.
Yeah, good question, good answers. Does anyone else have any thoughts or predictions on the 30-pound weight class?
One robot I'm really excited to see, like, just genuinely how it performs, because the first time it showed up, it didn't necessarily do its best, but it's Sombra 30 pounds, and Sombra is going to win just about any weapon-to-weapon engagement there is on the planet. So I think if it stays on a very vert-heavy path, I genuinely think that Sombra can be somebody that can run through an entire field just simply based on the way that its robot matches up against others, because it's got 3 teeth. Like, and when it comes to weapon impacts, nobody's ever going to beat that.
It's one of the most destructive robots I've ever seen in that division. It's that the last event, they just rip people in half, literally in half. So I agree with you 100%. That's a scary robot.
Fight with Yahoo specifically, like Yahoo did not win a single engagement. Like, it was just absolute, just all Sombra the entire way. It's crazy.
And that's actually scary because I lost to Yahoo. So you're telling me someone can beat up Yahoo? I'm like, well, now I'm super screwed. So thanks, guys.
Good luck.
Study the film, brother. Yeah. You're gonna need it.
Yeah, I mean, it should for sure be interesting. Just an insane level of talent. So we'll see how that all shakes out. Now I do want to move on to 12 pounds because we have quite a bit to digest in there, as we have Pramheda, Maximizer, and then Voxel, Crunk, Carmen, you know, plus a lot of the bots that, you know, are not represented by people that are on here. I mean, we had in June the event with the 2 teams of brothers essentially clearing the deck on the top 4 spots there. And then, of course, the Brazilians made a pretty heavy impact in September in that category as well. So I'll let those of you in 12 pounds first kind of speak to your thoughts, you know, being in that division, and then kind of let everybody else give their thoughts.
I think 12s is the biggest class that can be anybody's game. So with 12s, I call it a unicorn class. And what I mean by that is something that Brandon went on about earlier. The physics don't make sense. Nothing scales properly to a 12, and a 12 does not scale properly to any other weight class out there. So you're talking about a class that is hitting 2/3 of what a 30 is at a third of its weight, but also does not have the armor packages or the framing to handle these hits. So a lot of the things with this class is that the force you do to somebody else hurts you just as much, and with weaker frames and armor packages, it really can be a toss-up of, oh, I hit them too hard and shattered magnets in my weapon motor, or my drive motor popped off, just simply because we have overbuilt this class so hard that it literally can turn into a coin flip on every single fight, and favorites really don't matter.
My commentary is that the kind of in the same vein, the cage to weight ratio for the 12-pound class is the highest. Like, it's the largest cage for the weight. So I think like a lot of fights come down to just who is driving better, who's got the more consistent, you know, being able to put that bot where you need it to be in order to win engagements. I think that's a big part of it. So I think that will, you know, play a big factor.
Yeah, Michael?
I don't really have much. I mostly agree with what they said, especially kind of what Zach said. To me, especially the 12-pound class seems most like there's really like if I've noticed, like looking at the predictions they always put out, that all the voting, especially with a 12-pound class, it's always like the least predictable, and it always comes down to like not it's seeming to be like less about like not less about design, but like in the current state of like, you know, with the current like competition, it's more about like consistency. And that's true for any weight class. It's not specific, but like, and especially what Jake said with the, you know, robot to cage size ratio. It's especially interesting. We haven't seen a lot of shufflers in the 12-pound class. Like we have Yoshimi, who's qualified. Maybe a few others I'm forgetting, but there haven't, as certainly compared to the 3-pound and 30-pound. It's kind of seems like, you know, it's kind of like the middle child class in a way. So like, if I notice, you know, if teams want to like, you know, test out a design or something specific, you know, they're either going to do it in the 3-pound class because it's, you know, cheaper, easier to iterate, things like that, or they'll start in the 30-pound class because it's easier to scale up to, you know, bigger weight classes. So the 12-pound class is kind of like, it hasn't reached that level of like, you know, insanity to a degree. So it's really, I just found it interesting that it hasn't, I want to say it hasn't evolved as fast, but it's kind of just evolved in a different way. So it's kind of like driven, especially my like design ethos, it's been very heavily focused on like durability and like consistency and like very long-term stuff now. Whereas like, you know, a year or two ago, like you look at the competitors that were there then and the, you know, metas, things like that. It's just interesting to see how it's evolved differently than the other two weight classes. So yeah, I'm very interested to see. Personally, I have no clue. For me, I think all the weight classes are a toss-up. But even it's the one I'm competing in, especially, I still even can't pick, even if it's the one, like the weight class I know the most, I'm the most familiar with. I still have no clue. So I'm really interested to see how it plays out.
The other aspect, oh, sorry.
Oh no, go ahead.
Okay. The other aspect is that like for a lot of the builders in the 12-pound weight class, that's their only bot. Like looking at the qualified bots, like that is all they're doing is 12-pound weight class. There's nothing like me, Zach, sort of, and then Michael, like we're only doing 12s. Like so it's a class with a lot of focus.
Dorflers, Coakley's mostly.
Dorflers, yeah.
Torrential, Buzzkill. Yeah, there's a significant amount of this class that is exclusively they do not branch out.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
Which is threatening because it's the only thing that you have to think about. It makes life, you know, a lot easier when you've got one focus. You only have one strain to develop. You can really iterate on something really heavily and like Zach said, really optimize the hell out of it. So there's nothing else to squeeze out of it.
For sure. Does anybody that does not have a 12-pounder have thoughts, especially with those comments? I mean, it sounds like it's very much a toss-up in a lot of these cases, but are there any robots that you expect, you know, to do well just based off of what they've done this year so far?
Well, I think what the people really want to know is it going to be a year of the horizontal? I think that's the real question.
This is true. This is the main question I was going to ask as well.
I mean, Jake, like, are you gonna make it happen, or you know, you're gonna let Jameson go beat you, or what, man?
Scared him away.
There's a lot of
Say it's going that way
out there, right? It's not just Maximizer.
Oh. Bro's double fisting some dumpsters with Maximizer.
I wasn't gonna bring him out. I thought I might.
Oh,
Psycho's my nightmare. Psycho, as far as beating Jameson go, I guess I do have it here. Like I said, the 12-pound class is the driver's weight class, you know, with the cage to size ratio. So the big change from August going into November, this is the tail from August. This is my new tail. And if you notice, very slight, but it is 2 inches shorter. And what that does is it makes it about 20% faster to swing. And I haven't taken any videos of me driving around because I don't want those getting out. But It's damn fast. It's damn fast. And I'm pretty happy with that. But that is a Jameson Go. That is because of Jameson Go that I made that change. No sweat about it. I mean, it's terrifying having him in the field for my first time having him in the field.
Yeah, and he is in every field. So
Yay.
Right. That's one hope. That's one hope that I have is that, like I said, you know, for a lot of us, we are only doing 12s. Maybe Psycho has some stuff that is overlooked because he's got a bunch of odds, but knowing JMO, definitely not. That is wishful thinking. That's wishful thinking. So
I find
we'll
it
have our A game
entertaining.
ready.
I find it entertaining that the year of the horizontals has emerged when, and this is just looking at the who's all qualified, right? That 5 of the total qualifiers for the 12-pound bracket are horizontals, while I believe it is 16 are verts across beater bars or discs, or in Yuji's case, just death. But I looking back to how hot leaf juice dominated 2 years ago, I think that there's always been that extreme chance, like not extreme chance, but that true ability for a horizontal to just walk in and dominate the class, just simply based on the fact that we are all preparing for verts. So horizontal technology, as far as what we prepare and the differences we have in this class, really make it so that I don't want to say they're forgotten about, but we're always concerned with what the next vert we're fighting down the line is, that we almost forget to, well, Maximizer is completely unique in the way it attacks, and then you have Super Scope and Cthulhu, which are just deadly weapons on a chassis that you can bend if you can get to, but good luck getting there. And then Yoshimi is the only 18-pound robot in the class. And then Buzzkill's your traditional like Valkyrie style robot that if it catches your frame right, I'm sorry, but you're in the wall and you're not driving straight after that. So I think there's always that possibility of them.
Sean convinced me of a gap in the meta last November when I met him for the first time. I'm curious to see if that gap is going to, I think it started to narrow certainly in August. I'm wondering how much narrower it's going to be walking into November. If I had to guess, it would be the narrowest it's been in years for horizontals. But hopefully I can get through there.
Yeah.
Games. I believe.
No, but I agree with you guys across the board. I'm just getting into this 12-pound thing over the past 2 events, and it's a real wake-up call when you do try and take things like principles that work from 3s, because I think that I've taken my design on Blackbird as far as I could, so I tried to bring a lot of that stuff into 12, and then Michael snaps my weapon in half, literally knocks it completely out of my robot. Because those certain things that you think about, bearings and like simple things, they just don't work. And you have to, the only way to learn is like you just got to break, and then you figure out a way not to break in the future, right? But I think that it's such an odd division that you think that success in another division will allow you just to walk in and see it again, and it's a wake-up call. I mean, it's these guys really. My personal opinion, I think the winner of the entire thing is going to be in this, somewhere in here. One of these 3 guys, I think, is going to take it. That's my personal opinion. They're very, very talented, all of them. Their robots are they're incredible. And a lot of the film that I watch on 12s are one of these 3 here. So I think they're leading the pack personally. I don't think, maybe some of the other ones, they're kind of, they're meta breakers, but I think that tried and true, these guys have the most refinement in their platforms. So not just saying that because they're in here, like I genuinely think that. So
Appreciate that, Tony.
Yeah. It will definitely be interesting, and we'll see how that one plays out. But I do want to get into the division that I know the best. which is the 3-pound division. And I really love it because I think that there's so much variety. I mean, I think in general, I find that 3-pounders have the most level of variety. But I mean, when you have, you know, robots, like obviously, like I've expressed to Eli several times how much I love hot wings. You know, a robot like that qualifying for finals is awesome. And I mean, so many of you that have been working at this for a long time. I will say that obviously when I went to September, even though Corey was like, yeah, you could totally do it, I had no thoughts that it would be possible ever to qualify with Poison Apple, but I think it's worth noting that I would have had to go through Corey to do it. So I'm very happy to have a robot that is not in pieces right now. So I'll take that, but let's talk about the robots that did qualify, which includes so many of you that are on this call. It can go so many different ways. I mean, when you think about who's gotten there, you know, Chubby Unicorn is, you know, has been a major threat and kind of at the top of the pack for a while. Tim's obviously not in here, but I mean, very good robot. Droopy obviously qualified, but also Booty Brigade qualified. And then you have Monkfish, who's the only person to have stopped Corey in the last event. So you know that that's going to be a threat. And, you know, I know, Kevin, you said earlier, but IDK is awesome, and IDK absolutely deserved to qualify. So you got to be happy about that. But I'm just curious, you know, again, now to hear from all of you about this pretty interesting 3-pound division and what you expect from your robots.
It's terrifying.
Yeah.
We have a list on the wall here of everybody that's qualified. It's terrifying.
There are so many names in the bracket where I looked at the qualifiers list and I was like, all right, let's see the matchups. And everyone else was like, well, that would suck. Well, that would also suck. Well, I don't want to fight them. Like there's not a single easy fight in this bracket. It's really, I mean, that's what you expect with like, you know, they all qualified for a reason. But still, I feel like there's no throwaway match. There's no match where you're like, oh, thank God I got this spot. It's always just like, shoot, now I have to make an entire new config just for this robot. So it's going to be super exciting, I think.
Yeah, I'm really loving like the diversity of the Beetleweight bracket. Like, I mean, you have so many unique robots, like from like Offbeat and like mine to like, you know, you have Synthesis in there, just massive robot. Of course, Silent Spring's in there, but there's just a huge variety, like drums, verts, horizontals, control bots, a lot of control bots and flamethrowers, like multiple flamethrowers, right? So I'm really looking forward to that. I think it'll give some interesting fights, you know, some really fun matchups. And yeah, I have no idea who's gonna win, but it's gonna be a tough road to the finals, I think.
Yeah, I'm just happy to be here. I'm not expecting to go very far, so I did the
You're
same
gonna
thing
sweep.
as okay.
You're gonna
I did the
undefeated.
same thing. We made the list of all the people. It's next to Kevin right now. And I did the same thing. I went through every single match and came up with a strategy. And I'm like, well, I'm just gonna do my best.
Yeah, I think just 3 pounds in general, right? If you're lucky enough to make this list, there's a lot of people that are not in finals that, you know, have been staples of finals in the past. You earned your way this year. The amount, just the volume of people you'd have to fight through to get there. And you're right. I mean, some of them maybe some squisher fights at the very beginning because like it's thinning out the herd. But to be honest, like every match when you get into the later rounds, you were just taking such significant damage because the robots are so good, the drivers are so good, that it's going to be fun. I mean, for me, this is going to be my last time driving Blackbird ever. Is going to be at this event. You know, my daughter takes it next year, so you know, I hope that I get some matchups that people have never fought before, you know, or maybe just I want to fight Johnny one more time. That would be a great thing. But you know, to be one of the few beater bars that made it, you know, I've evolved it. Obviously, it's not just the standard one anymore, but it's cool to kind of represent where the roots of where I started. I'm going to end it on a high note, hopefully. So, but everybody that's in here that's fighting threes, It's going to be a really great event. I think we're all just going to have a good time. Any way you look at it, just to be there is an accomplishment in itself. So.
Sure. I really, really, really want to fight you, Tony. But I have to go through Collide first, which I don't know how I'm going to do that. And I think Silent X or jet lag, or maybe just straight to jet lag. So, like, I doubt, we're going to have that.
I think my path, I thought that I'd be fighting Groupie first round. I think that's who I draw. And I actually have a plan that I've always had for him and a configuration that I've never ever showed anybody that I do have. So that would be pretty cool. So unfortunately, I won't be able to fight Corey. I don't think. Or
you never know.
We've never fought like fun fact. I don't want to like totally kind of outroot this thing, but Corey and I started fighting robots at exactly the same time at the same event. And we've never fought each other. And we've been doing this for however many years, 7 years, and we've never fought each other. So
it's crazy.
That's pretty crazy, isn't it? So maybe we will this time. That'll be.
You never know. Yeah, I mean,
wouldn't mind avoiding synthesis for 6 years. So
Yeah.
Well, I've already done it once. I don't want to do it again.
So as far as going into finals, I'm really excited to see all the bots. Like Tony was saying, everyone that deserves to be at finals is at finals. Everyone earned their spot. For me personally, every loss that I've had, I've improved the bot, and I haven't had that failure happen since. So I actually have a couple things up my sleeve for every one of you guys. So be prepared. Synthesis will be hitting harder too at the finals than it has.
Oh, goody.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We really needed that.
Thanks, buddy.
Do you have a plan for a hot hug? Because I was on the receiving end of 2 of those when I had to qualify. And that's a lot of fun.
I'm very excited to have a hot hug. I wonder if he can handle a butter knife. That's the real question. But no.
It's the single most frustrating fight I've ever had in my entire life.
Yeah.
I had no answer at all.
There's nothing to do. Yep.
There's nothing to do.
I'm ready to hand out a lot of airfare tickets, a lot of flying in everyone's future. But nonetheless, I'm excited. It's going to be super, super fun. Hey, if I get to, I want to fight Johnny too.
No.
No.
It sounds like everyone is terrified of fighting Corey. Honestly,
Yeah.
so.
I want to fight Corey.
I mean, our team's done it, and it was horrible.
All right, you take him out, Tony, because I don't know if I could. I haven't fought too many verts with hot wings, so that's like a big question mark for me. I fought drums and beaters, but no like even small verts. So big vert kind of scares me,
It's almost like
I'm not scared.
It's like you're in a different class of weapons, like in this division.
It's so weird. I thought, like, when I go to safety Spartan, that like back when I was first going, they would always say 12 pounds. I was like, no, it's a 3. I know it's big. And synthesis, like dwarves Spartan, it looks like it's a 12. It's so, and I think that adds so much to like the robot, because fighting it, like if I think of synthesis like small, like a compact synthesis, I'm not scared of it anymore. But when I think of synthesis, I think of this massive like beast that just takes up half the arena and is constantly chasing you.
That's the idea. When you min-max your building materials, you can make it as big as you want it. And I'm a very big proponent to the intimidation game. Every single time before the match starts, I spin it up to 100% so people can hear that death hum. That it can get up there in about 3 seconds, and so generally that kind of turns the attitude of the opponent.
Corey sends me pictures of like dead horizontals he's killed just out of the blue, like out of nowhere. He'll just send me a picture of like a horizontal he's killed. It's just pure psychological torment. It's evil.
I have a picture of my horizontal that he killed, and it was a taco. He literally tacoed the back of it. So at least I qualified before that.
That was like my initiation into getting into Team Pandemonium.
It was.
Fight Beetlejuice.
Yeah. I still have plenty of souvenirs from that fight. I could not reuse a single piece from that fight. Everything got like messed up just a little bit, just a little messed up. And I didn't even chase all the problems until like events later.
I think everyone. I do want to say something. I had a dream because I feel like we all have those stress dreams before Norwalk, where like you're like forget your robot or something. Like I feel like we all have those. And I had a dream. I'm not even joking that I figured out how to beat synthesis. And my dream was that I started with Spartan like this. I became a vert in my dream to beat synthesis. It's I think in the 3-pound class, I see Droopy going pretty far unless it runs into synthesis.
Or a
I
GNB
see-
battery again.
Or I
Yeah.
somehow beat him with my magical configuration. I don't know. It'll be
No,
entertaining
Tony,
either way.
Tony, you're going 0-2, but you can grudge me at least.
I'll just
Wow.
listen. They
Yep.
got a really nice bar downstairs. I'm okay with that. I'm just gonna go on the high note spot. As long as I put on a good show, I'm okay.
Yeah, who are people's favorites for this
Yeah,
competition?
I'm curious. What does everyone think?
Beetlejuice.
Oh, thanks, Johnny.
I think Supreme Ruler is looking pretty good.
Yeah, that control bot. Yeah,
Personally, I think a Hot Wing Supreme Ruler would be like the most killer combo for
Oh,
a,
that's my
a
worst
3-pounder.
matchup, I think.
No. I don't mean to fight, but like as you evolve the design, which is what I really am curious about seeing in finals anyway, particularly because in a class whose meta revolves around 3D printing and plastic, that makes it more interesting to see. But honestly, I think if you just sort of just stole one of Jeff's arms and put it in the front of the robot and just hung it there and then just hugged it,
please no.
there'd be so little you could do. And it's so cool. It's not something I could do in like a 30 or a 12, but it's the unique meta ability of a 3-pound class, which I enjoy seeing since I haven't really done much of it in quite a bit.
Well, I have a secret weapon for if you're watching, Jeff. I got something special in case we fight each other. But
Let him cook.
But yeah, no, I mean, this might be the last year you can have a 5-pound Hot Wings, so I'm gonna give it my all. Like I'm assuming we're gonna get nerfed a little bit next year, go a little bit lower weight probably, but so here's the one shot I think for these big 3-pounders to really come out on top.
I don't have a list in front of me, but does anybody know the Brazilian robots that qualified in 3?
I've got the list. Hang
No
on.
one.
Yeah.
Nobody?
What?
Nobody.
No one.
No one.
No
No
one.
one.
Wow.
Oh,
It is the only class of Brazilians are not in.
wow.
How? Wait,
That is
what?
shocking. That's shocking.
How?
Not
Don't they
that.
Because of freedom, that's why.
I got the
Well,
list right here.
because they had to fight through 280 robots like
Yeah.
in one event to get there. I
Yeah.
mean, that's why. So
Yeah.
that's crazy. That's actually pretty crazy.
It's not for lack of trying, because
Obviously, I mean,
they
brought-
definitely threatened. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they brought half the country at the last event to qualify. So I mean, the other thing though, I think it goes without saying that you have to think that Calvin, the Droopy combo, Droopy and JMO have to be in discussion, right? All the time. Like they have a target on their back. They're the guys that, if they get knocked out, you're celebrated for doing it, but they're always favorites to win. Statistically, this were Vegas, it's good money to put it on them. That's, but
Yeah.
I
They
hope
just have
that
to
Corey,
face synthesis again.
yeah,
Yeah,
I hope that
bring
Corey
them
maybe
to me.
dispatches them again. That would be nice.
Bring them to me.
I have Silent X winning unless it fights Synthesis. I see Synthesis and Silent X going either way, honestly. Like
X, not Spring.
Yeah, I was gonna say X. not Spring.
X is the sorry, Spring. Silent he switched the names like a year
Yeah, he
ago.
did.
The 5-pound one, the shuffler. I think Silent Spring is gonna go really far as well.
I wonder if anybody is, and I'm gonna say this now because it might be too late for somebody to realize it. I wonder if anybody paid attention enough back in August when I went 3 minutes with Silent X. Because Silent X and Spring's weapons are the exact same, correct?
The modular
Yeah.
ones, yeah? Yeah, they
Yeah.
are.
So I went 3 minutes toe to toe with JMO with a minute of it. I had my weapon. After that, I did not. I had a particularly thick titanium wedge for that fight. JMO did not do anything that mattered. I got thrown around the box a couple of times, but if I would have kept my weapon, like that fight would have been a 3-minute banger. I don't think I would have knocked him out, but I think it definitely proved that if you can properly set up a wedge for a horizontal, that just like in the 30-pound class where you said 1/4 inch wedge, I think that somewhere above 0.1, it is honestly a deal breaker for any significant vert to fight a horizontal and gain a significant advantage. But
Oops.
a lot of people that would require bringing a mini bot, so we'll
Yeah,
see
my
how many
strategy
people.
for most fights is mini bot wedge.
Droopy doesn't like even this titanium events. It's
I'm curious
I
from
think Droopy
everyone,
hits-
if we're talking about all of these weight classes, are there any robots that you think could be a dark horse that maybe aren't one of the favorites, but could really make some noise in the tournament?
Monkfish.
yeah.
Everyone,
Threat
no one's
5.
looking at it. No one's looking at it. Monkfish. I am also gonna say that I think Lars and Jetlag can go pretty far, because as long as his drum stays up, like, you know, just gonna keep smashing you. Lars is just like one of the best drivers there, in my opinion, like easily with Jetlag. Watching his fights is just crazy. Just watching him like laser. So I think I have Monkfish and Jetlag as my dark horses, and I think people aren't looking at Chubby Unicorn enough, because now, like, I feel like the big vert everyone's worried about is Synthesis, but I think Chubby Unicorn's gonna make a pretty deep run as well.
I think as far as the 12-pound weight class goes, you have two potentially really dangerous dark horses, and it's both because they're just overlooked for one reason or another. I think Minor Threat 5 is that biggest dark horse, simply because its weapon is probably the hardest hitting vert in the class. I think everybody forgets that it can do that just simply based on the fact that it bounces on the box like in the most chaotic fashion possible when it gets hit itself. But if it is the one dishing out all impacts, I do not think there is a single robot in the class that can withstand 3 minutes of serious fights with Minor Threat 5. And then the second one is simply because this man doesn't show up to Norwalk enough to prove it will continue proving the reputation to Norwalk. Don Dorfler and Disco is the you can look back the list in 12s. I would hands down say Disco is one of the most iconic 12s ever, just simply for the fact it won Motorama 6 years in a row. The only reason it didn't win this year is because he didn't attend the event, and he's never won an NHRL event. So I guess that makes him a dark horse, but that is the scariest two dark horses I could think of possible.
Timber Viper. Yeah.
Kevin,
Oh,
great.
yeah.
I was going to say
Powerful
Timber
Kevin.
Viper too.
That thing is sweet.
Kevin,
Timber Viper was my pick to win last event.
Yeah.
I was rooting for him the whole time. But he's only been to Norwalk, I think, twice this year, and he's placed the top 3 or 4 both times. And just simply because it's interesting. Again, the 12-pound class, there's not a lot of control, but there's only 2, I think, qualified. And it just goes to show that just a good old-fashioned brick can still just very easily make it very far just by surviving. So he's my personal dark horse pick. I think he's gonna do really well. And of course, he did very well in the 30s last event as well. So
the way he drives it, he's totally fearless. Just
100%.
give he will throw it anywhere where it needs to be. Yeah, no, I totally agree.
There's a lot of joy when you have a robot that you trust to take the hit, so you're not afraid to put it into taking the hit, because that's part of the reason, like when Calvin's driving with Lynx, it's so much fun to see when he really goes in, because he has absolutely no fear that Lynx is going to be hurt by what he's fighting. He might adjust to get the best hit, but it's not because he's scared that Lynx is going to die. It's because he wants Lynx to hurt you faster to do so. And when you have that kind of a confidence in your machine, that speaks not only to the testing you put into it and the designing process with it, but it also then becomes that much more of a challenge to your opponent. Because there's a lot of fights where you have machines who are naturally going to be more fearful coming in because they expect you to get hurt. It's why when we have all these discussions about, oh, I'm gonna get murderized by by other machines here, like for example, everyone says synthesis after murderized booty brigade. That's gonna really work because if Corey's mental game is very simple, I'm gonna hurt you, then you're gonna naturally start falling into the easy trap and begin to panic. It's part of why when a lot of drivers go into the arena, like go to the side of the box, there's a lot of internal pressure with it. I think everyone's famous for, like, Jameson has like his sort of like movement preparation, but then he sort of plants when he's like in the fight because he's trying to get that nervous energy out sooner than later. It's a similar idea, but when you have those machines that drive fearlessly, they're the most scary of them all. Like I mentioned Sombra earlier in the 30 pounders, which I think could be a really good option there for 30s to go into it, because they have confidence in the machine's ability as they've been fighting not only up here, but also down Rio de Janeiro in their competitions. And when they've been able to fight, they're just getting more and more comfortable with Sombra as it's fighting with it. And a lot of the benefits of testing before events is that you just have that confidence in your machine. It's part of why like older machines are in such a really good state. When you're a rookie, you can build the most solid brick in the world, but you have the fear in your head of, well, something can break. When you're more senior and you've rooted out those faults in the robot, you sort of create an understanding of like, I know what to expect out of it. It's why when Whiplash goes ham against like a lot of horizontals, you're like, oh, this is a fun time, because Matt absolutely knows what Whiplash is going to do every moment he's driving it. And it's a masterful display because there's no second thoughts a lot of the time when he knows what Whiplash can respond to somebody with. There is some, like fight against Hydra, it had a lot of times where it was sort of fearful with the forks and sort of like playing that game of kind of get the edge on you. But like when it fought against and it's really its last run on the BattleBots Champions, you saw Matt very confidently moving with it. So when you get that level of confidence with any of these machines, I think that's when you're going to see the most incredible displays of those kind of drivings. And when the drivers and the machines have that kind of symbiosis going on, that's when you're going to get the robots that are more scary to see.
Yes, I agree with that 1000%. And really, like, one last thing that I wanted to touch on, because I'm just curious to get all of your perspectives, that to me, I mean, I wouldn't say I was so in the thick of things when it came around to finals last year, as far as, you know, knowing a lot of the robots and stuff. But to me, this field just seems like insane compared to fields in the past. I mean, like, every robot there you look at and it's like killer robot. Like, none of these robots got here just as like an accident or like snuck in. They're all amazing robots. I mean, do you think this is the deepest field that the Norwalk Finals has ever had?
Yeah, everyone there but Spartan is like a really good robot. Really cool.
I was thinking the same thing about Beetlejuice. I'm like, yeah, everyone deserves to be there except
You know, I've been fortunate enough to be, geez, I think I've been to the past 3 finals. I've been lucky enough to do it, and I have to say, this year is by far the scariest. Like I'm, like I'm expecting to get just absolutely vaporized in my first fight. Like that should be expected at any given point at finals, anyways. But you just have to look at look where you are, look where you're standing, and who you're next to. Like these people all fought the best of the best of the best. Like there's no doubt that this is the best light non-heavyweight tournament on planet Earth. If you can stand beside these people at finals, you've already made it. You've already won. You know, if you get a dumpster or a golden bread, that's a icing on the cake, right? But I think just getting there is an accomplishment in itself.
Yeah, for sure. I do want to say the only reason I'm here is because of like Kevin basically restarted Spartan's entire like life. I mean, after November 2022, I had such a bad run, and I was so unhappy with the robot. I wasn't actually having fun with it anymore. And I met the whole Pandemonium crew in January of this year. And Kevin just had so much. It's like he gave me his controller for the January event when we ran as a 12-pound cluster. And he kind of reignited like the flame in Spartan, because I was gonna retire it. And Ariel also, like, I bounced so many ideas off her. Like, just I feel like and just like Corey was helping me reprogram my weapon ESC like 2 days ago. I feel like the only reason I was lucky enough to get a nice bracket, besides like, I didn't run into some of the crazy bots. It wasn't an easy bracket, but it could have been way worse. I feel like the only reason I'm even, at the finals is because of like everyone else. I feel like everyone else has just been so helpful. So I just want to thank you all as well, because I feel like this is such a great community where we all, help each other. And I think going into finals with the attitude of like, hey, this is a stacked lineup, like, just happy to be here. I think for me, at least, that's just going to be like the best attitude to go in with.
Yeah. I'm going to finals for a good time, not a long time.
There you go. I'm kind of the same boat.
I obviously have high expectations being at finals the last 3 years, but like, you look at this field for 12 pounds, right? Over 50% of it's different than last year. Like, there was a giant change in the weight class that happened this year. While it may admit, well, we said it hasn't evolved in the same way, it is truly deadly. I think last year you could go, okay, I think these 10 robots can win it, and everybody else is possibly like, they're here because of whatever reason, and not to diss anybody or diss anybody's robots, but like there was a getting to be a clean line of, here's your top tier, here's the rest. And I mean, truly, I don't think I can see that in any of the weight classes, and 12s being, I think it's 14 different robots from last year, kind of really cements the fact that if you aren't good enough, like robot, it can come down to bracket luck, right? If you didn't get that luck, like, you could be turned out in a heartbeat. So
Yeah. Anyone else have any last thoughts?
Good luck to everybody.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see you guys in a couple of weeks.
Can't wait to beat everyone.
Yeah, no, it's only 15 days. We have 15 days, guys.
1, 2.
Should I start
If
building?
you go on
or
Friday,
should I
Yeah.
wait
go
till
on
the night
Friday.
before?
Listen, this is all I've got. Out of all my parts and everything, I have one almost. We need more time.
I have like almost 2.
I have to spend
Done.
a week in Arkansas. So
Oh,
Johnny, are you coming with more than one robot this time?
I am coming with more than one battery this time.
oh my god! So quick story. The event he qualifies at, wasn't it? He goes, "Yeah, I got enough batteries." He brings one battery. I'm like, Johnny, what? I ordered a battery on Amazon and brought it for him. Like, stop being silly. You could do
Give me
this.
a battery. I do want to say I did do a crap ton of upgrades on Spartan for finals. I took a page out of the Malice book and swapped to all titanium hardware because I couldn't resist.
Bunny just loves the extra. She loves
Yeah.
being extra.
Speaking of Bunny, she like overnighted me some Onyx parts because she's the best. But I'm trying new
She is the
2-piece forks. So they have an Onyx main piece, and then they're kind of like rotator forks. So they have another titanium little fork. And
Nice.
They're
Double joint.
I can't wait to they're probably gonna explode instantly, but they'll look really cool.
And
Brandon,
thank
we
you,
just
Johnny,
talked
for
about
making
those.
me feel like not
Yes.
such a hot mess. Because I don't know how many times at September I was asked, "Do you have an extra of these?" No, I don't have an extra.
Johnny never comes with extras. I think it's his lucky charm.
It
Well,
was.
I was thinking about it, like maybe if you don't come with spares, you're gonna drive a lot better because you can't waste parts.
Yeah, you can't. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
And
so-
I over prepare. I always have enough to build like 6 robots and I never need all of it.
Yep.
Well, I mean, John, if you want to waste some parts, I'll grudge you, when we're out.
Tony, we're grudging anyway. We
I know
should
we
go
are.
into the 30-pound cage and just have.
Listen,
a
if
I'm
there's
fine-
not time,
I'm fine
if
with
there's
that.
not time, you guys are just gonna like find some back alley somewhere and do it. Okay. I got a
I
cage.
just I want
It's
to do
small,
some
but I
team
have a
Fine, by
cage.
the way, to do it in the
judges.
alley.
Listen. I have a test box. It's big enough. It's 4x4, 1 inch thick. It'll be fine. Just
Yeah.
come here.
Do it.
Hey, Johnny, you should let me get out on that. Show you the difference that I've made this year.
We'll do that.
I'm gonna
Solely
bend
because
your
of
wedge
you.
so quick. I'm gonna
Solely
bend your
because
wedge
of
so
you.
quick. I know. How thick is the wedge now? Is it the same?
1/8 inch, but it's
Oh.
mounted in a way that is considerable to how I do the 12. So
I can't wait to bend it. I'm not gonna.
There's so much like experience here. This is my first time at finals. What is the best piece of like sage advice from
Sleep.
all you guys who have been here for like 3-5 years or whatever?
Sleep. Literally sleep.
Yeah, sleep.
Literally sleep.
The
The bot's gonna die, but
Bring
sleep.
bring two of everything at least.
As much as this community is a lovable giant mess of people that come from all over, just hang out give yourself a little extra push to focus on the robot a little harder, because everybody being friends can be a distraction sometimes.
But that makes it more fun.
Oh, I agree.
When you've been talking with someone for an hour and realize your fight's coming up and you still have to fix.
Yeah, it's terrifying at the same time.
That's how you build connections. I think it's like every BattleBots team fight. It's like, man, I really destroyed that. It's like, yeah, man, it broke such a cool way. And you also like bond over that.
Yeah, and this is one of the best parts about the community, because I know that y'all are competitive, but at the same time, I think every person here, even by coming on the show, supporting the show, whatever, like has helped me in one way or another. Certainly Zach put in quite a bit of work helping me in September. So it's the great thing about the community. And I think honestly for finals, like however it works out, whoever wins, it's going to be an amazing event. And I just wish everybody the best of luck, and I'll certainly be rooting for all of you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks.
absolutely.
Thank you.
So, well, everybody, please comment who you think your favorites are to, do well in this event. Give me your thoughts. Everybody has to. Please make sure that you like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. Buy some Maximizer merch if you haven't already done so.
That's what I'm talking about.
Merch plugs him, but we'll merch plug up.
I didn't even plug myself. I was being courteous.
He was holding up the shirt.
I know.
Buy
on, Tony,
all
you
the
gotta get there.
merch. Buy all of it. It's all great stuff. Support your teams. And we'll see everybody next time on the show.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.